Aptos is a promising new layer 1 blockchain project based in parts on code designed by Facebook/Meta, which had invested huge resources in its stablecoin Diem that they then later dropped due to regulatory pressures and hurdles. The project already received hundreds of millions in funding, and many of the software engineers are the same as the ones from the original Meta team. We will today take a deep dive and find out if it's actually an Ethereum and Solana killer or just another shitcoin. Hello and welcome to Finance with Axel. I read the Aptos white paper and summarized my results so that you don't have to do it yourself. Many additional resources were also included making this review. Doing this has taken a lot of time and effort, so please honor my hard work by liking and subscribing. Keep in mind that I am not a financial advisor. I am just producing high quality educational and entertainment content. Without further ado, let's get into the Aptos review now. Aptos' vision is to bring Web 3.0 to mainstream adoption, to empower an ecosystem of decentralized applications. This should be realized by establishing a decentralized, secure, and scalable network which should be governed and operated by the community. Aptos uses the Move programming language. This is a technology inspired by Rust and original designed by Meta/Facebook. To reach consensus, a Byzantine fault-tolerant delegated proof-of-stake consensus mechanism is used. Validators will have a minimum required amount to stake, which might cause a lack of decentralization if the threshold is set too high. This might also be done intentionally because the less validators and the less decentralization, the faster a chain is usually. Validators decide on the split of rewards between themselves and the people delegating stake to them. Sharding will be the technology used to scale. Ethereum 2.0, for example, will use it too. The blockchain will be pseudonym. This is the same like in the Bitcoin network. You are anonymous until your public key is linked to your real-world personality, for example, by selling your coins on an exchange. The Aptos team might later experiment with privacy features too. The Aptos team consists of engineers and strategic talent behind years of developments at Diem and Novi, and the researchers behind cutting-edge innovations like DMBFTV for the Facebook/Meta/Aptos consensus mechanism, Block STM, and many more. A lot of the creators of the Move programming language are also part of the team. The team, therefore, can be considered top-notch. Their investors also read like the who is who of blockchain VCs or venture capitalists. FTX Ventures and Jump Crypto, Franklin Templeton, Coinbase Ventures, Paxos, Circle Ventures, A16Z Crypto, and many more are in. Aptos is already promising to allow for 160,000 TPS under optimal conditions in a test environment. At the start, this number will be definitely much lower as they will start with only one shard, planning to scale up once adoption kicks in. Shards on Aptos can have different characteristics. This is necessary to make the system highly customizable and ready for many different use cases. Aptos is designed to maximize throughput. Therefore, transaction processing is divided into separate stages. Each stage is completely independent and individually parallelized. This provides significant performance benefits according to the white paper. Aptos has a modular design which aids development speed by supporting faster release cycles. This is because changes can be targeted punctual to individual modules and no single monolithic architecture needs to be modified. Batch processing allows for efficiency optimization. Batches of transactions are combined into blocks during consensus. Transaction dissemination is decoupled. Validators continuously broadcast batches of transactions to each other. As these streaming could be an attack vector, for example in a DOS attack, a so-called denial of service attack, special mechanisms are put into place to assure validators don't run out of memory. Transactions are timestamped and also have sizing constraints. By decoupling transaction dissemination from consensus, ordering can be done very efficiently, resulting in optimized throughput and minimal latency. To make consensus even more bulletproof, there is also a validator reputation mechanism in place. Timestamping blocks enables many use cases. For example, first, time-dependent logic in smart contracts, for example auctions. Second, oracles need accurate trusted timestamps in order to correlate blockchain and real-world events. Third, clients can also set an expiry date for their transactions. Another speed boost is achieved through parallel transaction execution. Parallel transaction processing is done through block STM, which stands for Software Transactional Memory. According to the white paper, block STM achieves an up to 16x speedup over sequential execution using a 32-thread node. Block STM combines known techniques and novel ideas in order to estimate dependencies and order transactions in a way that the amount of wasted work is minimized or at least dramatically reduced. We don't know much about the tokenomics yet. There will be no ICO. The project nevertheless already collected 350 million from venture capitalists. The distribution of tokens will most likely be horrible at the start, with the so-called community not having anything and venture capitalists, the foundation and team holding all the tokens. This topic is not addressed at all in the white paper. At least the token utility was described. The Aptos token will be used first to pay for transaction and network fees, second to vote and govern the protocol, third to secure the blockchain via staking. Almost all of this sounds great so far. Let's come to the downsides. Aptos supports private key changes. They claim this is a security feature, although I don't see too many benefits, to be honest. To be fair, it will probably also not hurt. The white paper states that this helps to reduce risks. An example would be after you had a security incident, you will be able to change the password. I think this is simply not the case. Usually once you recognize being hacked, it's too late. Funds had already been drained off your wallet. This feature could even be used to lock out the legitimate user of his wallet if the hacker changes the password. The password change feature could even be a security risk. Many people hate the long random private keys and they might decide to get a new password, one a human can more easily remember. Very unsophisticated user might, for example, decide to change their private key to password. This obviously makes them a much easier attack vector. It's also said in the white paper that users might sign transactions by accident or without fully considering all consequences or recognizing that they are being manipulated. Aptos introduces 3 different protections to stop this. First, a transactions sequence number which is unique for each sender's account. Second, a transaction expiration time. Third, every transaction has a designated chain identifier to prevent malicious entities from replaying transactions. I honestly don't see how any of this is preventing fraud. If I get it right, only double spends will not be that easy or impossible. They will have a feature though which supposedly shows a user before transaction execution in a human readable format the outcome, which is nice and very helpful. On other blockchains, it's often opaque what I am actually signing. During my research, I also asked a few questions in their Discord. In addition, I also tried to start a conversation about the key change function and also said that in my eyes, this is not helping much or at all. You never guess what happened next. I got banned. Or at least I thought so. Maybe it was a temp ban or the server was down. Whatever it was, I wasn't able to get in the Aptos Discord anymore. 24 hours later, it worked again and I asked some of my questions. Unfortunately, I didn't get any helpful answers. At least the admins provided some links to helpful resources. Moving on! Aptos is always claiming that they will be able to frequently, fast and securely upgrade. This seems very optimistic and I don't see how they won't do this, especially as they also claim that feature changes and improvements will go through several phases including proposal, implementation, testing and deployment. This statement is in stark contrast to other goals like decentralization and being community governed. In decentralized systems, coordination is always slow. On top of that, implementation and testing is taking a lot of time if done thoroughly. If things are rushed, you are either neglecting security, making bugs more likely, or you are doing everything with intensive research and back and forth testing, in which case you can't be very quick, especially in a decentralized system. It's a trade-off, it's hard to have both at the same time. Aptos wants to be a broad and diverse community. Unfortunately, I don't see how this can happen. Given the expected token distribution, so far only the team, the foundation, and a couple of VCs were able to secure tokens. Valuating the project already sky high, they were able to secure $350 million already in private rounds. I don't see any way how the tokens can be distributed to a broad audience at this point. There will be probably no fair entry levels for retail investors. A widespread distribution without heavy concentration is also not possible anymore. Whales will dominate this coin. At this point, Aptos is still in testnet and mainnet is scheduled for Q3 2022. Tokens are not available to the public yet. I was getting in this analysis being very optimistic and feeling some FOMO. Now I will, to a high degree of certainty, not participate at all. In my opinion, all the new features that are advertised as super innovative are less exciting and less awesome than claimed if you take a closer look. The expected token distribution will be terrible with the team and the VC whales holding all the bags. No fair distribution and or broad diverse community will be established. At least not at the start or in any time soon. If you want to get in as a retail investor, you will probably have to pay very inflated prices and no good entry point will be available. Whether the technology works as promised is also still unclear. As mentioned, we are not in mainnet yet, and new unproven techniques are used, which are promising but still unproven. A lot of things can still go wrong at this point. The TPS numbers mentioned are also inflated, as the tests were run under ideal circumstances and with very powerful, expensive hardware. It is also questionable if they will be able to recruit enough developers. So far, they don't have a massive incentive program like other chains do. They also use a new programming language. So software engineers need to learn something new, creating a potential barrier to entry. Even if Move is very close to Rust, they are in competition for developers with two other hyped layer ones, namely Solana and Near Protocol. Let me know what you think about Aptos. Will you invest? Don't forget to share, like and subscribe. Bye until next time.